Most people think railroads changed nations because they made movement faster. They shortened distances. They connected markets, armies, and cities. That explanation sounds complete, but it leaves something unsettled. Speed alone does not explain why railways reshaped how societies understood power, order, and control. It does not explain why similar effects appeared across very different cultures, or why their influence lasted long after the tracks themselves faded from view. History suggests a quieter cause, not speed, but predictability. This inquiry sits where power, belief, and human behavior meet. It looks at how a technical system altered expectations about order, not through ideology, not through instruction, through routine. The focus is not one country or one moment. It is a recurring pattern wherever rail networks appear, across industrial Europe, across empires, across modernizing states. This is not a story of invention or celebration. It is an attempt to notice what changes when uncertainty becomes something to manage. Before railroads, distance resisted control. Travel depended on terrain, weather, and chance. Messages wandered. Authority weakened as it moved outward. Power thinned with space. Local rhythms filled the gaps. Time varied by place. Each town followed its own tempo. This looseness was not freedom. It was friction. And friction limited how much coordination could be demanded. Orders arrived late. Rules softened as they traveled. Improvisation was unavoidable. Railways entered quietly. They did not argue. They promised reliability. Tracks made arrival predictable. Schedules required agreement. Agreement required synchronization. Local time gave way to standard time. Clocks aligned not because of belief, but because trains required it. This shift looked technical, but it reached deeper. Time stopped belonging to places. It became abstract, portable, enforced. With that change, something else began to move. When movement becomes predictable, planning expands. When planning expands, authority stretches. And when authority stretches, belief adjusts to make that stretch feel normal. Railways did not impose power through force. They made power workable. Territory could be imagined as a system. Regions became nodes. Routes became lines of coordination. Resources became flows. The state no longer needed presence everywhere. It only needed to arrive on time. Here, the pattern appears. Power does not always look like command. Sometimes it looks like organization. Railways were praised as tools of progress. They promised connection, efficiency, growth. They seemed neutral. Neutrality made them persuasive. Their effects spread quietly. Rules multiplied without announcement. Standards hardened without debate. Procedures replaced discretion. Systems thickened. As networks expanded, expectations followed. Delays became failures. Irregularity became error. Variation became something to correct. These expectations spread beyond transport. Factories synchronized their rhythms. Workdays standardized. Markets aligned their timing. Administration learned to move by schedule. Order stopped being a goal and became a baseline. The idea of the nation subtly shifted. It became less a shared story and more a coordinated mechanism, a structure designed to function smoothly. Railways did not invent bureaucracy. They taught it how to move. They allowed authority to act without appearing present. Control could travel without looking like control. Power became quieter, and quiet power is easier to accept. The same pattern appeared wherever rails extended. In empires organizing distant territories, in states seeking cohesion, in regions pulled into larger systems. The tracks carried no ideology, but they carried assumptions. That order is desirable. That coordination is progress. That predictability equals stability. These ideas rarely appeared as arguments. They became habits. Once absorbed, they shaped judgment itself. Railways made societies more capable. They expanded reach. They increased scale. But they also created dependence. As systems become more coordinated, they grow more sensitive. Disruption travels farther, failure multiplies, a delay spreads, a breakdown ripples outward, a strike halts movement, power concentrates, and so does fragility. This is a recurring pattern. Systems built to reduce uncertainty often amplify it when they fail. The more life depends on coordination, the more unsettling its absence becomes. Over time, people adapt. They come to expect regularity. They internalize schedules. They treat reliability as virtue. Order takes on moral weight. Efficiency feels responsible. Delay feels wrong. This shift happens quietly. Railways do not command obedience. They invite alignment. Alignment spreads. It appears in schools paced by uniform time, in workplaces governed by metrics, in cities designed for flow rather than pause. The logic escapes the tracks. Time becomes segmented, movement optimized, behavior measured. Under this logic, friction looks suspicious. Irregularity looks wasteful. Disruption looks like failure. Yet friction is where variation lives, where difference resists compression. As systems smooth themselves, pressure builds beneath the surface. Rail networks made coordination visible. They also made deviation legible. To fall out of sync is to stand out. To be late is to be marked. To slow down is to misalign. Control no longer needs commands. It works through expectation. People regulate themselves. This is not domination in the old sense. It is alignment through structure. The system does not demand belief. It shapes what belief finds reasonable. Over time, power stops looking like force. It starts to look like infrastructure, like something necessary, like something neutral. Neutral systems are hard to question. Railways appeared as tools, not doctrines. Yet they quietly reorganized relationships between authority and movement, center and periphery, coordination and consent. They collapsed distance. They also collapsed alternatives. Local autonomy faded not by decree, but by comparison. Why rely on irregular methods when standardized ones exist? Choice narrows when convenience expands. This narrowing rarely feels imposed. It feels efficient. Efficiency gains moral weight. It signals competence, rationality, modernity. Inefficiency begins to feel irresponsible. Here, the tension deepens. As coordination expands, tolerance for uncertainty shrinks. As tolerance shrinks, systems tighten. As systems tighten, deviation feels dangerous. The loop sustains itself. Railways did not create this impulse. They revealed it. They made visible a desire to render the world manageable. Once manageability becomes possible, it becomes expected. Maps grow denser. Records more detailed. Categories more precise. People become entries. Movements become flows. Time becomes units. None of this is malicious. It is functional. But functionality reshapes meaning. When order becomes the primary value, other ways of understanding weaken. Ambiguity becomes uncomfortable. Slowness becomes suspicious. Uncertainty becomes a flaw. Yet uncertainty is where adaptation lives. History shows that systems optimized for stability struggle with surprise. They perform well until conditions shift. Railways enabled coordination. They also bound societies tightly to their structures. When those structures falter, consequences spread quickly. Because beneath smooth coordination lies dependence. Trust that systems will hold, that schedules will work, that order will persist. When that trust wavers, unease appears. This pattern extends beyond railways. The same logic shapes modern networks, institutions, and platforms. The tools change, the structure remains. Control becomes embedded, authority becomes procedural, power becomes difficult to locate. Belief adapts again. People trust systems more than judgment, processes more than discretion, metrics more than meaning. The world becomes legible, but thinner. At some point, a quiet discomfort surfaces, a sense that something essential has been compressed, not erased, compressed. The deeper cause was never steel or steam. It was the human desire to reduce uncertainty. Railways gave that desire form. They turned abstract control into structure. Once visible, it could expand across territory, across institutions, across expectations. The question is not whether this was good or bad. That framing misses the tension. The question is what kind of belief it quietly encouraged. Belief in order as safety, in predictability as virtue, in systems as guarantors of meaning. And what happens when belief in systems grows stronger than tolerance for disorder? This tension does not resolve itself. It cycles. Each generation inherits structures built to stabilize the last. Each stabilization introduces new fragilities. The rails fade from sight, but their logic remains. It appears wherever coordination becomes synonymous with progress, where efficiency replaces judgment, where uncertainty is treated as a defect. The pattern continues because the desire behind it endures, to live in a world that feels manageable, predictable, held together. Yet the tighter systems hold, the less room remains for what resists alignment. This is where the unease begins, between order and meaning, between control and adaptability, between structure and life. The transformation railways set in motion was never only about transport. It was about how societies learned to imagine order itself. That imagination still shapes what feels normal, what feels responsible, what feels possible, and it leaves a quiet, unresolved question. When coordination becomes the measure of stability, how much uncertainty can a society tolerate before order itself begins to feel like a constraint? If you found meaning here, you're welcome to explore more on Timeless Questions, where we examine history not for answers, but for understanding.